5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's homecoming week on the campus of Knox College, and as the school prepares to welcome back hundreds of alums, the football team is preparing for their Saturday matchup with Illinois College. The Prairie Fire and the Blue Boys first played each other back in 1893. But how did we get from then to now? A look at the history of Prairie Fire football.
They had a game on November 8th versus Notre Dame, which was for the college championship of the West, and they won 12-5. It should have been a shutout because a Knox player was down. At the time Notre Dame scored its touchdown, Knox didn't even line up against them for the play, and Notre Dame went and scored. And so, funny thing, is that when Notre Dame lined up for the extra point, they couldn't even see the crossbars of the goalpost. So the game was called at that point. But Knox was rated 9th in the whole country that year. Yale was number 1. Nebraska was number 2. Chicago was number 5, and those were a couple of our losses that year. So in 1906, which is right after that happened, Knox was among a number of schools in the country that gave up football because of brutality and cheating and so forth. That in 1905 there were 18 deaths in college football and 149 serious injuries. So we gave up football and played soccer instead. We came back in 1907. In 1915, we played 2 games of football. And in the second game, Brian Scott, who is a halfback for Knox, suffered a crushed vertebrae in his neck and died of that injury a couple days later, and the school canceled the rest of the football schedule at that point. And this is the only athlete that I know of that died in the course of the activity for the school. In 1918, at the end of World War I, the school hired Coach Sam Berry, official name Justin McCarthy Berry, and he became a coach for Knox, and and was actually the coach in all 4 sports. And he is somebody that slips under our radar. That best known at Knox for being the coach of the undefeated team of 1919 that was 8-0, won the Little Five Conference, and outscored its opponents 295-7. We won the conference championship again in 1924, going 7-1, and then in 1929 we're first in the Little 19 conference when we again went 7-1. In the early 30s, we went in the opposite direction. In 1932, 33, and 34, we went 0-8 in each year, and in 1934 ended up being outscored 170-0 for the season. That we had one game in which quarterback was on an end run, looked like he would score a touchdown, but tripped himself and fell out of bounds, stopping the one scoring opportunity we had all year.
Well, the 1950s, they had a great running back named Mondo Lopez. I think he was from Kewanee, Illinois. And that team was very successful for all the years he was here. He, for a long time, was the leading rusher and was really an outstanding football player. And it was a great team under the direction of Coach Al Parton.
We used to play on the flatlands of Illinois. Now we're in this bowl, but it was awesome to be in that experience because you felt like, we're kind of finally making it. We're no longer playing, all due respect, accelerated high school ball. We're playing in a bowl, and that was the cool thing to be doing. So it had an awesome feeling to it, and it was painful because we'd run the bowl and up and down and up and down and up and down. And yet it felt like we were in a stadium of sorts, and so that, I think that contributed to elevating, we're finally playing college football. So that was a good feeling.
Fans would bring their blankets out. There wasn't a lot of bleachers. They'd sit on the side of the bowl. It was a very casual, just a different atmosphere than you'd get in a stadium. Much cozier, I guess would be the word. And it was distinctive, and it was a place to recruit to. And you didn't go to the bowl except the Friday before a game. You didn't practice in the bowl. It was game day, and that made it kind of neat too. It came in 1960. I was a freshman, so we would spend our Saturdays as a freshman team sitting on the side of the bowl watching. And by the end of the season, I think they were down to like 17 healthy bodies. They had people playing both ways. Their quarterback, a couple of knee injuries on one hit from a ripping team, I think. And there was even talk from the president of the college at that time of, do we keep playing football? But the group of guys I was with, there was probably 35 of us, pretty much stuck with it through our sophomore and junior year. So numbers played a part of that. We had a big win in Beloit my sophomore year. That was our only win. And then the next year, 6-3, my junior year. And that's when I would say the program became relevant and we became competitive. And even with winning and losing records, we were in games, we played, the teams had to scout, we had to play through the fourth quarter, and those were big steps, I think.
Didn't do so well 74 and 75, but recruited quarterback out of Naperville, Fran Paradise, and in 1976, Fran led the team to a 7-1-1 record, and they won the Midwest Conference crown. They first in the West Division and tied with Cornell and Monmouth.
From everything I've heard, Al Riley was the head coach, and he had quite a run before he left. That was his last year, and just from everything I've heard, it sounded like there was great chemistry, and things just went right, and they played together, and you know, I've always heard just some outstanding things about that group of guys.
Knox had, I think, the most wins of any decade in Knox football history in the 1970s. I think I'm right about that. So 44 wins, and was awesome.
In the late 80s and into the mid 90s, Randy Oberempt obviously had a lot of good winning seasons. Obviously, he's still very vocal and helps out with Knox any way he can, even to this day. I think his impact on Knox football and just Knox in general is still being felt, and he's a great advocate for the college, and probably set a pretty good groundwork for Coach Gibbons to come in the late 90s, early 2000s, and have some winning seasons then as well.
You know, by, I believe in '87 they got to 6-3, and in '88 they went 5-4, and I believe the '89 team was 3-6, but they had like that was a really good 3-6 team from what I've heard, especially their defense. But '87 and '88, it was really known for passing. Bob Monroe and Todd Monken, two of the greatest quarterbacks ever at Knox. I've only seen them on film, and they were both here at the same time, you know, on the '87 team. And I believe in '87 they switched off quarters. And in '88, Todd was here alone as the head coach. Now he's the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And but there were also some really, you know, they also had some good defenses on those teams. So Coach O, by his third year, '87, '88, really got some things going. And you know, I just think they had some bad luck in '89. Probably could have easily had a winning year that year too. Because I think that was really one of the best defenses from what I have been told.
They were probably ahead of their time in terms of some of the things that they did, which is, I mean, kind of goes to show that Knox is on the forefront of some of these issues. But I think Prairie Fire was a good choice. It really speaks to what Knox is about, what kind of made us who we are today. Little prairie college in the middle of nowhere that has a little bit of fire in it.
I was very lucky. After the '95 year, we were 6-3, and we had a heck of a team, heck of a group of guys coming back in 1996. And you know, I think as I look back, there were some really good recruiting classes, as I remember. I think of the '92 recruiting class, and then put some recruiting classes together in '94 and '95, and those guys were able to, I think, put it together. And you know, we were 6-3, 5-4, 6-4 in those 3 years. '96, '97, '98, and just had some super players during that time. You know, I don't have any hair, but I had hair back in 1998, and that team went 6-4, great defense. And I remember Nate Wilson and Ryan Kennedy were linebackers on that team, and I believe it was Ryan said, "Hey, if we score a touchdown, can we shave your head?" I had a lot of hair back then. And I said, if we score a touchdown and win the game, you can shave my head, defensive touchdown. And that was a mud game against Carroll, and we're down 10-0 at halftime. And we ended up coming back, and believe it or not, we had scored to go ahead before this happened. But then the last score, believe it or not, was an interception by Nate Wilson, and he took it back into the end zone to score. And I believe Ryan Kennedy made an awesome play in the end zone, tackling Nate in the end zone. He tackled him. At least Nate got up, and we won that game. And yes, they shaved my head, and the rest is history. Now I can't grow it back. 2002, I remember going into that offseason and telling the guys, we got to do. I put it on the board each day, how many days until the next season, you know. And our goal was to have a winning season. That's all it was. Let's have a winning season. And we ended up going 6-4 that year. And the leadership on that team is what I remember.
the amenities center and all that really stepped up the game in terms of concessions and bathrooms and all of that. And it just made a better experience for the fans and for alumni, and obviously homecoming is better for it.
And obviously getting the field turf and then just the whole look of the bowl. It's still unique. Yes, you don't have the berm that you can see down in it now. I think that makes it even better. And now we have more room on the sidelines. It was really, really an exciting time for that to go down. And there were a lot of people involved. Obviously Roger Taylor, but our athletic director, who was outgoing when the whole thing kind of got started, his name was Dan Calandro, and he kind of got that started. And Scott Sunderland, was our interim athletic director for a while, and he helped with that as well. And then Chad Isley came in and finished it off, and of course with the support of Roger Taylor the whole time. And then to get to name the bowl after Harley Nosher. It kind of reminds me a little of 2002 and the fact that last year's team was able to really get off to a good start. 2002 started out the same way. Got off to a good start, and it just really felt like that, as from my perspective, obviously not being the head coach anymore of that team, but just watching the team and coaching the defensive backs, it just really felt like there was good chemistry there, and we had a lot of guys making plays when we needed plays made, and it was a fun group to be around, in my opinion. And and of course we had some good seniors, some great quarterback. And I mean, how many times do you have a 40-game starter in Matt McCaffrey? I never had one, and he's seen it all, done it all, and he just made every play he could make last year. And then Jacob Paul leading the defense, making all those plays, and I just thought it was a really fun group of guys to be around. And a lot of these teams, I think, that had success, there was something common is chemistry and having fun. And everything I hear about that '76 team, it's just really, really good chemistry. And then just watching last year's team and thinking back to some of those other teams we talked about, it's good chemistry, guys that like to be around each other, like to go to work, and everybody pulling in the right direction.
You kind of see that's the first team where Coach DeMayo's guys were kind of older players. Obviously, you need to have good senior leadership, and when you have a coaching change, even a couple years down the road, it takes a while to build that up. And I think kind of last year proved that was a good process. Obviously, McCaffrey was a special player. Obviously, two-sport athlete that was able to start every game of his career in both sports until he was unfortunately injured in baseball.
I think of all the special players or people, and just that I believe Knox football stays with you. I don't think, I had a college experience that, I had some great friends, but I don't believe that where I played college that has stayed with me. But I think playing Knox football, win or lose, stays with you. I think it's a lifetime thing, a lifetime relationship, players and coaches. And I just think of the people, the players, alums, coaches. Those are the things that I think of. And there's so many special memories from things in the bowl, and we're around homecoming now, so a lot of those things come rushing back.
127 years of Knox College football, and it all comes down to Saturday, the homecoming matchup with Illinois College. Homecoming Saturday on the campus of Knox College, and the offense comes out of the gate firing on all cylinders. This high-strong touchdown run caps off a 15-play drive and puts the Fire up 7-0 early. In the second quarter, they add to their lead. Jake Amaro over the middle to Kobe Shutter for 6. Knox is up 13-0. But IC would answer right back for 6 of their own. We go to the half, with the Fire up by 7. Second half action, it was time for the defense to make some plays. The forced fumble is recovered by Logan Hollis, and the Fire offense takes advantage. A huge catch by Hunter Lee gives Knox the 14-point lead. IC trying to work their way back, but another big play by the defense. This time, Jeremiah Matthews drops the quarterback, and the lead holds at 14 after 3. To the fourth quarter we go. Knox still up 14, just over a minute to play on fourth down. The pass breakup secures the homecoming win for the Prairie Fire. Victory formation, and Knox gets the homecoming win for the first time since 2008. Now 2-1 in conference play, the Fire have another key matchup this week with Cornell College. Kickoff is scheduled for 1 o'clock. Next week on Hard Knocks, we take a look at what the players do off the field, plus highlights from the matchup with Cornell. We will see you next week on Hard Knocks.